lights, not cracked, broken, or missing, they all work on demand. Come down to your headlights, they are clear in color. High and low beams, not cracked, broken, or missing, they work on demand. And then go to the side where you have your turn signals, four ways, and marker lights. Amber in color, not cracked, broken, or missing, they all work on demand. Then you come down to the ground, you're going to look for any puddles, which can be leaks from oil, your coolant, or your washer fluid. Look for any signs of leaning, which can be caused by a flat tire, busted spring, or busted shock. Then you're going to open up the hood. Clear.
Mike,
Yeah,
use this truck. They're taking that one off the road.
we're taking that. All right.
Lift it up.
Let's start on the passenger side. You got 4 items to look at. First is your coolant tank. Make sure the hardware is in place, not cracked, broken, or leaking. Make sure the cap's on tight. Fluid is in between minimum and maximum. You're going to check your hose for ABCs, abrasions, bubbles, and cuts. You want to check your clamps, make sure they are on tight. You want to check the rest of the hoses and the rest of the clamps in the engine compartment in the same manner as you did here. Then you're going to come to your water pump. It is belt driven. All the hardware is in place, not cracked, broken, missing, or leaking. Your belt, no rips, tears, or frays. No more than 3/4 inch deflection from the center. You come to your washer fluid tank. Again, make sure the hardware is in place, not cracked, broken, or leaking. You have enough fluid for your trip. Make sure the cap's on tight. Final item on this side is your exhaust. All you're going to do is check for any rust or carbon. Soot and carbon are one and the same, so you can take either turn. All you're going to do is check for possible leaks here. Any questions on this side?
So which one is that exhaust? The
This is the
inside?
exhaust back here, back of the turbo.
Oh, okay.
All right. Any questions on that?
No.
All right, let's go to the left side. I will start my way from the back, work my way toward the front, come down, and then I'm going to come back this way. Starting in the back, you have your air compressor. All you have to worry about this air compressor are 2 things. Make sure there are no leaks that you hear, and make sure that it is gear driven. If you mention anything else, like any hardware, make sure you know where it's at. They're going to expect you to know where it's at. All right. Over here, you cannot see it. Steering shaft is right here. Don't really go welds, cracks, breaks, or bends. Notice there's a grease plug here, so you don't look for any possible leaks from any grease. You got 2 U-joints, one on each side. Make sure they're clean and properly lubricated as well. Up here is your oil filler neck. Make sure there are no cracks, no holes in it. Make sure the cap's on tight. On the bottom is your dipstick. This is where you would check it. Make sure it's between add and full. Alternator is next. It is belt driven. Make sure the hardware is in place, not cracked, broken, or missing. Make sure the belt's tight. No more than 3/4 inch deflection from the center. Also look for any rips, tears, or frays. You're going to look behind the alternator for any possible blunt wires, any bare wires which can indicate possible arcing. Next is your power steering wheel. All the hardware is in place, not cracked, broken, or leaking. Cap's on tight. Make sure it's between min cold and max cold on the cold end. If it's warm, it's going to be where the max cold line is. You'll notice it says min hot. Check for max hot here. You want to have a little bit of room on a cold engine so that fluid has a chance to expand when it gets warm. Make sure you check the hoses for any lower steering gearbox. Make sure all the hardware is in place, secure to the frame of the tractor. Make sure there are no leaks, especially around the seal and over here. Your pitman arm, factory bend is here. No cracks, welds, breaks, or illegal bends. It is secured with a castle nut. In the middle is your cotter key. Behind that is a bushing. Make sure it's clean and properly lubricated. Behind the bushing is your drag link. Got your manufacturer's bend here. No cracks, welds, breaks, or illegal bends there. That is connected to your upper steering lever. That also has a castle nut and cotter key at the top. Underneath you have a rubber bushing. Make sure it's clean and properly lubed. Behind the single air brake chamber is your lower steering lever. Again, same setup. Castle nut and cotter key. On the bottom you got a rubber bushing. Make sure it's clean and properly lubed. That lower steering lever is connected to your tie rod. Your tie rod, no illegal welds, breaks, bends, or cracks. You'll come back to the front. You'll start with your spring mount. Other than factory holes, motor holes, welds, breaks, or bends. Make sure it's all the hardware is in place and secured to the frame of the tractor. In front of that is your leaf springs. Check for any cracks or breaks. Also check for any signs of scissoring, which can be caused by loose U-bolts. The U-bolts are here. And make sure all 4 bolts on the bottom are secure. Behind the U-bolts, shock absorber, you got the 2 bolts, one on each end with bushings. You have to check the bushing for any possible wear. Make sure you check the side of the shock for any possible leaks. Behind the shock, air brake hose. Again, abrasions, bubbles, and cuts. You're going to see a lot of that throughout the pre-trip. Make sure it's connected on both ends. In front of the air hose, this is your single air brake chamber. Make sure all the hardware is in place, secured. Check for any cracks or holes, listen for any audible leaks. In front of that, this is your push rod. This is your slack adjuster. It is secured with clevis pins and cotter keys. When the brakes are applied, the slack adjuster must be at least 90 degrees when the brakes are released. When you pull that slack adjuster by hand, that push rod should have no more than 1 inch of play. Next are your pads and drums. On the pads, no less than 1/4 inch from the thinnest point. No oil or grease to indicate an inner hub seal leak. No cracks or gaps on the pads. Make sure it's secure. And no discoloration from over braking. Your drums, no oil or grease to indicate an inner hub seal leak. No discoloration from over braking. No cracks or gaps. And no illegal welds on the drums. Your inside rim, under factory hose, motor hose, welds, breaks, or bends. Your tires, got 3 sides. Check for ABCs. You gotta check the top for even wear. On the steer tires, minimum 4/32 tread depth. These cannot be recapped. They must be virgin rubber. They have to be either radial or bias ply. They cannot be one of each on the same axle. They have to be one or the other and have to be the same size. This side is where you find your manufacturer specs. If you need air, this is your valve stem. Make sure it's secured. Cap must be secured and present. Check it with a tire gauge, fill it with an air hose. Then you have your outside rim, other than factory holes and other holes, welds, breaks, and bends. All 10 lug nuts must be present and tight. You're going to check the rim for any possible over torquing, which is spidering. Your lug nuts, check for any possible rust, which can be caused by looseness of the lug nuts. You're going to check for any shininess on the stud, which can indicate rust. The last item for the engine compartment is your outside hub seal. Just check the outer edge for any leaks. That's part A. Any questions on that? First, your mirror mounts, which all the hardware is in place, both upper and lower. This is your amber reflector. Crack, broken, or missing, it works by design. Come to the other side. You're going to check your mirrors. Check for any cracks, breaks, any parts missing. Check for any illegal stickers that can possibly impede your vision. You'll open your door. You're going to check your hinges on the left side. Make sure they're clean, properly lubed. make sure that the hinges hold the weight of the door. You're going to check the door seal all the way around for any rips, tears, and frays. And then while you have your door open, you're going to check your steps. Your steps have to have the proper hardware, make sure they're free of debris, and you have to physically demonstrate that it does what you need. Just have a step on the bottom one. Next is your marker light. Also serves as your four-way and turn signal. It's amber in color, not cracked, broken, or missing. It works on demand. You have your fuel tank, not a gas tank. Fuel tank. Make sure there are no leaks on the bottom. Make sure the fuel straps are all in place, nice and tight. You can tell if they be loose, caused by any shininess along the side of the strap. Make sure your fuel cap's on tight. Inside that fuel cap, there is a rubber seal at the top and a safety chain on the inside. You do not have to open it up to show the examiner how to set it. Any questions on the side of the cab? Alright, let's go in between here.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you have to open this side and show the examiner the very reflective triangle?
Don't do that until you do the in-cab.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I read the book this morning and it's saying you have to show the examiner.
When you
When it's
go
in
in
the
the
in-cab.
in-cab, yes.
Oh, okay.
How are you going to be able to tell if you're standing outside where they're at?
I read the pamphlet given to me by this school.
Don't go by the.
Oh, okay.
Don't do it verbatim, okay?
All right.
Follow when you go do your in-cab, all right? The last thing that you do is your emergency equipment.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Okay.
At the top, start at the top, work your way down. You got 4 DOT reflectors, clear in color, not cracked, broken, or missing. They work as designed. When you come to the right, you have your exhaust stack. Again, check for any rust or carbon fit for any possible leaks. You can make sure that the exhaust mount is properly in place. Also, you want to check the support. Make sure that's on nice and tight. To the left of the stack, you got your 2 work lights. Clear in color, not cracked, broken, or missing. They all work on the end. Then, I usually go directly to the air hoses and lines, simply because they're right in front of you at the start. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check my air hoses. This is your service line, this is your emergency line. Disregard the color on this truck. They are incorrect. The service line is correct, but the emergency should be red.
Red.
Not blue. Alright? On the one end, you have your glad hands. Make sure the high pressure fittings are in place. No leaks. These are your glad hand seals or rubber grommets. They'll take either turn. You're going to check for any rips or tears, which can indicate a possible leak. On the other side here, behind the cab, are your other high pressure fittings. Make sure they're nice and tight. No leaks here. Now, since these are made out of rubber, what are you going to do?
Abrasion bumps and cut.
Bingo. There are some lines that are made out of plastic. The only things that you got to remember, no cracks, no holes on the plastic, but here, ABCs. This is your electric line up at the front. I call this a plastic doohickey. I don't know what the hell they call it, but there is a little plastic flap here. Make sure it's behind this flap so it has a nice connection. Do the same thing up at the front. There is also one other thing that you have to know. You do not have to show the examiner, but you do have to mention it. You would check the inside for any possible corrosion. You want to make sure that there is enough electric grease to prevent that from happening. This is your female, this is your male part. Make sure you check them on both ends. Then you have your line itself. You're going to check for any exposed wires, any cut wires, and any splices which can be caused by a possible short on the trailer. Now you're going to come to the main part of your tractor. First, mainframe. Other than factory holes and bends. No illegal welds, brakes, bends, or brakes. You would check the other side, same as you would here. Your cross members. Other than factory holes and bends. No other holes, welds, breaks, or bends. Make sure that all the hardware is in place. You would check the rest of them the same manner here. This is your drive shaft. No cracks, welds, breaks, or bends there. It's secured with U-joints. Make sure they're clean and properly lubricated. Now, let's see. Back here is your torque bar. It's a straight piece of steel. You got two of them, one from the front, one for the back. Check for any illegal welds, cracks, breaks, or bends. You also want to make sure that the hardware is in place along with the rubber bushing. Make sure you check that for possible wear. Alright. Let's go over here. This is your frame mount. All the hardware is in place. No cracks, breaks, welds, or bends other than factory holes. In front of that are your leaf springs. Check for cracks or breaks. Check for any possible looseness from scissoring caused by loose U-bolts. Make sure the U-bolts have 4 bolts at the bottom. Make sure they're nice and tight. Behind that is your shock absorber. 2 bolts, one on each end with bushings. Check the bushing for wear. Check the side of the shock for any possible leaks. Your airbag mounts. On your airbag itself, ABCs, and check for any leaks. At the top mount, make sure it's secured to the frame of the tractor. Bottom, make sure it's behind the back part of the leaf spring. That's where it's supposed to be secured to. Alright, back here, back to the front. You got your air chamber. It's a dual air brake chamber. Check for any cracks or holes. Check for any leaks. Make sure it's secured. Behind that is your slack adjuster and push rod. When brakes are applied, the slack adjuster must be at least 90 degrees. When brakes are released, when you pull the slack adjuster by hand, that push rod should have no more than 1 inch of play. It is secured with clevis pins and cotter keys. Then you have your air hose. Again, check for any ABCs. Make sure it's properly secured. Alright, now you're going to go to your wheel. Your pads and drums. On the pads, no less than 1/4 inch from the thinnest point. No oil or grease to indicate an axle seal leak. No cracks or gaps on the pads. Make sure it's secure. No discoloration from over braking. Your drums. No illegal welds. No cracks or gaps on the drums. No oil or grease to indicate an axle seal leak. Check for any discoloration from over braking. Your inside rim, other than factory holes, no other holes, welds, breaks, or bends. Check on the 6 sides of your tire. ABCs. You want to check the top for even wear. On these, minimum tread depth of 2/32. These can be recapped. You can tell by the seal along the side. Right? There is also another way. The manufacturer has cut across the top. Where the tread is at, you can tell that's a retread. These can be radial or bias, but cannot cross match. They must be the same size. In the middle, you have your bud spacing. Your bud rims cannot have any gap. They must touch. Tires cannot touch. Must be free to go. You come to the side bud. This is where your manufacturer specs are. If you need air, where is that? Right here. That's your valve stem. Make sure it's secured to the outer rim. Must have a cap on it.
Do you have to mention that it's metal?
Yes. Make sure you check the inside one too. There's also a valve stem there. So make sure you check this. Make sure you check the inside. Fill it with an air hose. Check with the tire gauge. Outside rim. Other factory holes and other holes, welds, breaks, or bends. All 10 lug nuts must be tight. Check the rim for spidering caused by over tightening. Check the lug nuts for rust caused by looseness. You gotta check the stem for any shininess here by rust. Then you gotta check the outside axle seal. Just check the outer edge for any leaks. And finally, your splash guards. Check for any cracks or breaks. Make sure it's secured to the frame of the tractor. I would check the rear axle, same as I would. That concludes this part. Any questions? Yes.
Can you say ABCs or you need to say abrasions, cuts, and bubbles?
I would say abrasions, bubbles, and cuts, depending on the examiner. You might get a nice one, or they might have gotten out of the wrong side of the bed. They might be a little glitch. So, okay. Yeah, just get in the habit of signing. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, that's
All right. Now, since I've done this part, I'm going to show you guys the fifth wheel. Again, start from the top, work your way down. At the top, this is your apron right here. It's welded onto the frame of the trailer. Your apron is on top of your fifth wheel, where your skid plate is. Those two should have no gap whatsoever. Your skid plate must have either grease or Teflon. It cannot be both. It's gotta be one or the other. That is secured with a pivot pin, which is your horizontal. Your pivot or your clevis pin, that's your vertical. In the middle is your cotter key. To the left of that, that's your release arm. Make sure it is in the lock position. That is the one item on the outside PTI that will break. If you do not say that correctly, that will auto fail you, and that will stop the inspection. Under that, where the fifth wheel is sitting, this pyramid shape is your platform. Platform is welded onto a plate. Plate is secured with mounting bolts. Check for any loose bolts, rusted bolts, cracked bolts, or any missing bolts. That is secured to your frame mount, which is this piece of metal here. Make sure the hardware is in place. No cracks, any missing bolts. Then you would come behind. I'm too old to crawl underneath, so I'm just going to tell you. Look inside that fifth wheel, you'll notice that there are locking jaws. The shank of that kingpin. The kingpin has to be secured to the frame of the trailer. After checking that are your lights on the red section. 4 functions. Tail, brake lights, 4 ways, turn signals. Not cracked, broken, or missing, they all work on demand. Your clear section are your backup lights. Not cracked, broken, or missing, it works on demand. Then you come to the butt flaps. Check for rips, tears, and frays. Make sure it's secured at the top of the bracket. It folds. No higher than 8 inches off the ground, and 100% DOT tape across the top. Any questions on that?
Yes.
Yes, what?
On the B section, are we going to go ahead and do the apron, or are we going to do that another time?
I like to do things as soon as I see them that I know are going to be on.
I mean, just for the test.
For the test, no matter what you do, you're going to be doing that.
Right.
No matter which card you get. Whether it be A, B, or C, you're still going to have to do the coupling system, and you have to do the end cap.
But my question is, can you incorporate it with your B?
I don't see that.
Okay.
That way you don't have to worry about, missing it.
Right.
I've had students in the past where they would say, oh, that includes the outside PTI. Once you say those magic words, everything that you forget, it's a moot point. You lose all those points.
That's all we've been hearing. You'll get A, B, or C, then an apron, then a end cap.
Yeah. No matter which card you get, you still have to do the coupling system and the end cap test. Right?
So what you just did is the coupling.
The air hose is in line, the electric line,
Yeah.
and the fifth wheel.
Fifth wheel.
Those are all part of the coupling system.
Okay.
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 All right. Now we're going to do the trailer. Just start in the front. This here is your front marker light. Amber in color, not cracked, broken, or missing. It works on demand. You will check that marker light. Should look here. This is your side marker light. Again, amber in color, not cracked, broken, or missing. It works on demand. You will check the rest of the marker lights along the side in the same manner as you would here. Next is your floor or your deck. You're going to check for any missing boards, such as this gap here. You're going to check for any missing screws. Make sure it is free of debris. Come to your subframe. Make sure it's welded onto the frame of the trailer. This is your side rub rail. Make sure there are no cracks, breaks, bends on the rub rail. Oh no, I'm sorry. at least 50% DOT reflector tape along the side. Then underneath, right here, these cross members. Make sure there are no cracks, breaks, bends, or illegal welds. You can check the rest of them in the same manner. And then you have your mainframe on the center of the trailer. Again, no illegal welds, cracks, breaks, and bends on that. Any questions on this side of the trailer? All right, let's continue. Go to the landing. All right, start at the top, work your way down. Check my hardware, make sure there are no missing bolts, make sure there's no cracked bolts, no rusted bolts. Make sure that this is properly lubricated, no leaks. This is your crank handle. Make sure it is secured. There would be a metal cradle on the left side. That's where you would normally put it. However, since this is an older trailer, you can put it behind the support brace. Check your brace. Make sure there are no illegal welds, cracks, breaks, or bends there. Make sure both bolts, one on each end, are secure. And you have your shoes or your feet. Make sure that is secured. Make sure it is free of debris. And the last thing, for God's sake, get those shoes all the way up before you take off. All right? Any questions on that part? All right. Moving on. This is your four-way turn signal. Amber in color, not cracked, broken, or missing. It works on demand. That's all it is. That's the only two functions that it has. It's not a marker. Okay. Trailer axle on the front. I'll start on the left side of the axle because I can already see two items that I can already mention. One, your air hoses. ABCs, which pumps and cuts. You want to make sure they're secured on both ends. Next, your dual air brake chambers. Make sure that you have no holes or any cracks on it. Check, listen for any leaks. Make sure it's secured to the axle of the trailer. And you'll come to the other side. Alright. Next thing I see, airbags and your mounts. On the airbag itself, ABCs. Check for any leaks. You want to make sure that the top mount is secured to the frame of the trailer. The bottom mount is secured to the axle of the trailer. Shock absorber. 2 bolts on each end with bushings. Again, check the bushings for wear. Check the side of the shock for any leaks. Your slack adjuster and your push rod. On the slack adjuster, when the brakes are applied, the slack adjuster must be released when the brakes are released. When you pull the slack adjuster by hand, that push rod should have no more than 1 inch of play and has clevis pins and cotter keys. Clevis pins and cotter keys to secure it. Your brake pads and drums. On your pads, no less than a 1/4 inch from the furnace point. No oil or grease to indicate either hub seal leak. No cracks or gaps on the pads. Make sure they're secure. No discoloration for the brake. On your drums, no illegal welds. No cracks or gaps on your drums. No oil or grease to indicate either hub seal leak. And no discoloration for the brake. Then you're going to come back to your tires. Again, 6 sides of a tire, ABCs. Now check the top for even wear. On the trailer tires, no less than 2/32 of tread depth. These can be recapped. They can be either radial or bias ply, but cannot cross match. They must be the same size. You got your dual bud spacing, or dual bud rims rather. On your rims, no gap whatsoever. They have to touch. Tires cannot touch. Be free of debris. Out here is your manufacturer specs. Down there is where you would check your air pressure. Make sure it's secured to the outer rim. Must have a metal cap on it.